Everyone, welcome to this online demo of My Locum Manager and how it can help you. So when you first register, you'll be asked to put in whether you're going to pension, your national insurance and your initial details for invoicing, etc. You only need to do that once and it just takes a couple of minutes. If you have any questions on which information you need to put in for your pension, you can always contact us and we can help walk you through it. So the main hub of the system is the diary, and on here GPs tend to use our system in three ways. So one way is, as you can see here, practices local to you can send you information for work. So when you click on it, you can view the session, you can email the practice manager directly, you can request the session or decline it based on your requirements. So that's one way you can source locum work. The second way is you can set your availability for instant booking, or you can find practices local to you and invite them to book you for work. And the way in which you would do this is you go to manage availability. And when you click on this, you'll be asked to input the days that you're available to work and set your parameters for the type of work you want to do, the rates you want to work for, and the types of shift you want to work for. Once you set that up, it will appear on your diary and practices will be able to book you for work based on the parameters that you've set. You can also set this to a more granular level by choosing specifically which practices will be able to book you instantly by going to the GP practices section. So here, when you set up for the first time, you can use this system to work out which are the local practices to you, as you can see here. Now you can select connect to send them a work request. And this will allow you to set the practice to then just see your work documents and see when you're available. They can't see anything else about the system or your documents that you don't want to share. And this will enable them to connect with you for work opportunities. So when you log on, if you see that the name and email is filled in, then that means that practice is on MLM actively sending sessions to GPs. If you can't see that filled in, then it's likely that the practice is there because GPs using My Locum Manager are working at this practice and are invoicing or pensioning with this practice. So you can contact this practice, find out the name of the main contact there for work, and then input that into this system here, and then send a work request directly to that person, and then they will be able to view your work documents and invite you for work. You can set your session rate here, and you can also log here whether or not you're pensioning. So you'd be asked to fill in this. So I'll just put in janetest@gmail.com, and then you save it. And you can do that for any number of practices that you wish. Now, you can also manage which practices you want to be able to book you by going into connected practices. And once you go to connected, you can then select instant booking. You will be asked to upload your work documents, which you do in your account area, because the practices need to be able to see those in order to book you instantly. Right, okay, so back to the diary page. So that's how you would set yourself to be instantly booked or find practices and invite them to book you. The other way that GPs use our system is by adding practices that they work for. So the system is really clever. So you would go to add a new practice when you use this for the first time to set up the practices that you're working for that you want to be able to invoice and pension for. So you can select whether it's an NHS GP practice, other types of work, whether it's work booked through locum agencies or remote work or non-NHS work. So for this example, I'd select NHS GP practice, and the system will then look up all practices local to me, and then I will just select which practices it is that I'm working for based on the list that it presents. So again, I would just connect to them by selecting this button here, input the details I need, and set the rate that I'm working for once, and then the system will recognise and remember that for me going forward. Okay, so we've covered the three ways in which GPs can use My Locum Manager. So that is, you can add jobs yourself, you can add any type of work, you can be invited to work by practices, you can set your availability for instant booking and source practices local to you and invite them to send you sessions. You can also, on the My Diary page, scroll to the bottom and select this download button here, and that will allow this diary to sync with your phone calendar so that all the sessions that you input here will appear on your phone so you can stay organised and on top of your sessions. Now, when you're adding jobs for the first time, so let's use the example that I'm working at one of these 3 practices here. So I can select the practice that I've inputted and choose the day and time that I'm working. And let's say that this practice pays me a sessional rate of £600 for the day. I can also select this toggle, which will add the mileage expense for me automatically. If some practices say to you that they're going to book you for half a day or a day, and that rate includes the pension, you can tick inclusive of pension, and that will allow the system to automatically calculate how much of that £600 is yours to keep, how much of it is pensionable. For this example, I'm going to leave that blank because the practice is going to pay me £600 and they're going to pay me the pension on top. So I click save. Now, once I've inputted that once, that's it. You can see it's popped up here. Now, let's say I'm going to do regular sessions for this practice on a Sunday. So I click on that and I just copy the session and then I just click every Sunday, and you'll see here, it's overlapping with existing book. It's added the sessions for me there, and I can stop duplicating by selecting that button there. So once I've added in my diary, I can book work for months in advance by just scrolling back and forth on the calendar. Now, at the end of the month is when I go to invoice and pension. So that's what I'm going to talk about next. So to invoice and pension, I would select invoices, and typically most GPs do this at the end of the month. And here on My Locum Manager, it will have a record of every single practice that you've worked for and every single work type that you've done. And it will also log all the sessions that you've completed plus all your upcoming sessions. So let's just say I want to invoice for some of the jobs that I just put on there. So you can see here, that's the total invoice. If I'm pensioning, then I just select this toggle here, and a Form A, which goes with every invoice, will automatically be attached and pre-populated for me in here. So that's the invoice done, and then I generate the invoice and it will present me with the invoice to review, and then I click a button and I can send it to the practice directly. And because I've selected the pension toggle, the pension form will be sent alongside the invoice directly to that practice. So here we go, let's view it. There you go, it's there, and I can send that directly to the practice. Or if this was agency work that I've done, so they've paid me, but I'm just logging all my income on the system, I can just mark it as sent, which means it won't go to the practice, it will just log it onto the system that I've worked there. Right, so that's pretty much my invoice and my pension form A done. Now, a pension form A is sent with every invoice. So let's say, for example, I'm working at 3 practices every month. That means at the end of the month, I will create 3 invoices, which will have the jobs on for each of the practices, and 3 pension form A's. When I'm pensioning every month, I must complete a pension form B. So once I've sent off the invoice and the pension form A, the next step I have to do is mark when I've been paid for that work, so the system can then calculate the pension for that month. So I would just go to payment confirmation and I would just select the date that I've been paid here and press save. And that will, on the system, record the date that I've been paid. So now I can create my pension form B by going to pension forms and selecting pension form B. Now, you pension by the month, so every month the month of April, for example, that I've been paid, I would have marked all my invoices as paid for April, and then I just select April, and what the system will do is it will generate a pension form B for me using all the data on the system, and that will have all my data inputted for me, and it will also show all the jobs that I've done. So here, there's no pensionable pay for April, that's why it's blank. However, if I had pensioned, it would show here the total that I've got to pay into NHS England's bank account that I'm due to pay every month. Now, in order to upload my forms, I save them by right-clicking my pension form Bs, and I can get my pension form As from here. And then I go on to PCSE's website here and follow the steps to upload those forms every month and transfer my bank, contribution to my pension to NHS England's bank account. Now, other ways the system can help you is you can go to reports and finances, and here it will have a breakdown of all your earnings, any unpaid invoices, and every year you can go and send a breakdown for your tax return by going to taxes and downloading the accountant report, and your accountant will get a breakdown of every single income that you've generated, your practice employer contributions, what you've paid towards your pension, and your mileage. You can also track your expenses. So I save MLM on my phone, onto my home screen of my phone, and I upload my receipts and expenses as I go. So you can actually create your own field. So some of our GPs do private work like Botox or things like that. So you can create your own field, or there's these pre-populated fields that you can organise your expenses into. So say this was a professional expense, it was CPD, and it was £500. You can put in it was a CPD course. You can not a COD course, a CPD course, and you can attach a receipt or file as well and save that to the system, and it will log every single expense that you've got, and then your accountant will have a copy of that. So that was a very quick tour of My Locum Manager. You can get lots of support and information. You can book a one-to-one, and on our support button here you can get lots of information about pension. You can access our Get Started guide as well, which if you type in guide, it will upload our ebook, which covers in detail how to invoice and how to pension on the system as well. If you've got any other questions, drop us a message, but I hope that was useful.